Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Dan Olsen. I'm standing here in front of one of the largest franchises in the country, and that's Ace Hardware. We're excited to share with you today the ultimate guide to starting a new franchise and building that empire that we're all looking for. So please join me. So we're going to jump into this today about how you can start your own franchise business and building that empire, but there's a lot of things you need to know. And so we're going to make them simple and easy to understand today. So let's jump into it. Okay, before we start, we're going to talk about the three different types of franchising groups or businesses. The first one is product distribution, and of course, then there's business format, and there's social franchising. And in product distribution, the industries in which you most often find product distribution franchise include like soft drinks, automobiles, trucks, mobile homes, automobile accessories, and gasoline. The franchisee is typically selling the products manufactured by the franchisor. So that's why you see Coca-Cola being bottled and canned all over the world. Now there's the business format type franchising, and this is the one that we typically work in almost exclusively. And the business format franchisee gets a complete system for delivering the franchisor's product or service. And the major difference between a product distribution franchising and a business format franchise is that the business format franchise operates their business based on a business system largely prescribed by the franchisor. So they're going to follow that step-by-step proven program and formula and blueprint that's already been created. And finally, this one is kind of new, there's social franchising. And social franchising is the application of business format franchising techniques and methods to the delivery of products and services to address the needs of people who live at the base of the economic pyramid. Social franchise systems generally focus on the lack of access to basic needs such as safe drinking water, adequate food supply, authentic drugs, quality health care, education and sanitation, and even energy. And this is an area that we're really starting to focus on more and more because it's helping the population in the world. Okay, the business format franchising is the one that we mainly focus on because it allows us to grow. But more importantly, it gives us the freedom that we all seek. One of the reasons why we start businesses and build businesses is because we want to have that freedom that is associated with those businesses so that we can spend the time with our loved ones and build those memories. And that's what franchising can do for you if you do it in the right way. So the business format franchising is the one we're going to focus on the most. And so we're going to explore the three important things, the foundations of successful franchise companies and why they're successful. The three very essential areas of building a successful franchise company, let's talk about the first one, and that's the brand name behind it. You can see out there's all kinds of successful brand names. We see them everywhere. We thrive on branding as a society. And so we typically make our decisions based upon branding. But when you look at a well-known brand name franchise, typically those are not available to everyday people who want to buy a franchise and build that empire. So you have to look at more emerging franchising. And that's where I look at because they already have a proven system. It works. And so you don't have to have 1,000 locations out there. You can have 50 or you can have 10 even in some cases and see that there's proof that it's working. And so the thing that I look for though in the brand name there is in the legal documentation, is it trademarked? So we need to have that trademark that's out there so that we can build upon that brand name and become brand champions of that brand, even if there's not a lot of locations out there. Then what happens is the upside is much more higher potential with the emerging franchises because even though there's maybe a little bit more risk, there's still that system behind it, there's still support, there's still lots of things going for it. We just have to make sure we feel comfortable with that, and it allows us to succeed usually with a lower startup cost, usually with a higher return, and because it's not so established and we don't have to, and we have more freedom with that emerging brand as well. Number two on the list is following a proven system. A franchise has a system, and all wealth is a result of a system. Think about it. Wealth is created when you follow a step-by-step process, when you can do it over and over and over again. So when we find that right person that fits that right kind of franchise and they follow that system, they have those outcomes that are successful. And when we find franchisees that are not following the system, usually that's where we see a few of the challenges that we have to overcome. So the system becomes very, very important to follow. So what we look for in a proven system with a franchise, at least what I look for, number one, is the marketing. I like to see what the marketing and the sales, how they're driving those clients to the franchise. Then I also look at the financial system. I look at the numbers. I look at the percentages of labor, percentages of rent, percentages of cost of goods sold, and other things like that. Then I can get an intelligent decision on how this franchise is doing. So even though it's a lesser known brand name, which we already talked about, there might be just a little bit more risk. If the system is there and it's working and the numbers are working and we believe that we can follow that system, it should be a no-brainer decision to make that decision to jump into that particular franchise after you've done your investigation. So the system really creates the ability to make that proper decision on looking internally of how that's made up. Okay, number three, of course, is the support. There has to be support from that franchise company. And that's one of the biggest questions you'll ask other franchisees, and you'll want to check that out with the franchise company, is what kind of support are you going to give me? Once I've signed on the dotted line and I've become one of your franchisees and I've been granted that opportunity to be your partner as your franchisee, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to support me? Those are the questions you'll want to ask. Every good franchise company has excellent support above and beyond anything you can imagine there. And you can dive into that even a little bit deeper. You look at mentorship or even coaching. That's what a franchise provides, is the ability to have some mentorship from people who know what they're doing and have already had that success. We just follow them to and what they've already created and build our own success based on their mentorship and the system that they've created for us. Okay, once you've established those three things that you know that those are there in a franchise, now you need to look at the way to enter into that franchise. There's only really 4 ways to acquire a franchise, and I call them the 4 levels of franchising. Number 1 is a single unit franchise. A single unit is where you own the franchise in a particular area. You probably have some protection, some exclusivity around an area, and so that only you can be in that particular area, but you only have one franchise. Number 2 is what's called a multiple unit franchise ownership. That's where you start with 2 or more franchises because you want to grow it fast. Maybe you want to diversify a little bit, and you start with one, then you open the second down the road, and it could be in a whole completely different area. They don't necessarily need to be side by side, but it allows you to get into multiple unit ownership very quickly and accelerate your success faster. Number 3 is what's called area development. Area development is when you own an entire territory, and only you can put those franchises in there. And you might have a 2, 3, 4, 5-year agreement on production on how you open those and when you open those, but only you can open the franchises in that designated area. And then number 4 is for more of the major leagues. This is what we call master franchising, or the better terminology in the legal terminology is area representative franchising. That's where you partner up with the franchisor. You own your own territory, like a whole state or a city, metropolitan area, and you have the rights to help bring franchisees into the system, and you're compensated for that, as well as receiving some of the royalties or ongoing piece of the revenue from those franchisees that are in your territory. And that's kind of the ultimate way to get started, is what's called master franchising. Okay, so when we talk about growth and we talk about how you can succeed even faster and increase your success rate, you'll want to look at owning more than one franchise. And many franchisees start with the multiple unit ownership so they can have 2 or more to start with. Now, as you look at this chart here, as you can see, as you go down, there's fewer and fewer. We want to get you to that point where you're into that 2 to 4 or 5 to 9. This data from Wall Street Journal says it all. As you own more, your chances of success go up. And here's a good example of that. So let's say you own 3 franchises of one type in an area, and one of them's doing phenomenally well, and the other's doing okay, and the other one's maybe not doing so well. Well, guess what? They balance each other out. And that allows you to achieve success and diversify. And in the world of franchising, if you look at the statistics, the success rate actually goes up when you own more than one franchise. So that's a goal, to get to that point and ascend that ladder, if you will, on what we see here with some of these statistics. Okay, and finally, let's talk about diversification. Diversification helps just about any business succeed because you're spreading out a lot of the risk. In this case, in franchising, we may want to look at not just owning just the quick service restaurant. Maybe we also own a quick service restaurant and a hair salon. Or maybe we also add a massage clinic, or maybe we add any number of different types of franchises that are different industries within the franchise program, which allow us to diversify and even cross-promote to the various customers in there, and it helps everyone, especially you as the franchisee, to succeed even faster by diversifying across the board in different industries. Okay, so we've talked about the basic formats of franchising, especially into the business format franchising, which is where we specialize and we focus on. Now, we've also covered 3 different essential elements in a franchise company that makes it successful, that allows you to become successful too. And when we talk about the system, the step-by-step system to help you succeed in a franchise, there's also a step-by-step system to help you succeed in acquiring a franchise. And we call that our free game plan. When teams go out and they play a game, they have a game plan. There's a step-by-step plan that they have to succeed in that game. We do want to see you succeed. So your next step to get your free game plan and follow that proven system that will allow you to find the right business for you is to get with one of our experts. They'll take you through that process and set up a game plan with you. So click below. Let's set up a time when we can get together and take you through that process and figure out the best thing for you. Thank you for watching today. It's been my pleasure to take you through some of these important steps to acquiring your own business. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, and please check out the next video. There's a lot more to come.